You okay there?
So I guess I know what crying from fear feels like now. I just walked out of a full-blown fucking panic attack. Holy fuck. We haven't spoken since the film ended. There's a lot of people who just kind of like laughed, and I heard a lot of people who like exited the theater, and they're just like, that was bad. I don't know why I keep watching A24 movies. They usually suck.
Yeah, they're idiots.
Yeah, the people we saw this movie with were all fucking obnoxious, especially the people to my right, which never shut the fuck up and kept joking. It's a good thing that I was pretty much so out of it, I was forced to tune them out? Oh my god.
That is easily one of the top 3 worst theater experiences I've ever had. Next to Deathly Hallows Part 1 in 2011.
Probably, I mean...
And The Last Jedi when the guy was...
It doesn't help that the movie makes you feel horrible. The audience did not help.
Like, oh my god, I hate the people.
However, I am strained to talk about
Hereditary.
I mean, I'm just gonna get it out of the way and say, yeah, it's really good. However, I hesitate to use a positive adjective for the movie I just saw, because there's a definite point in this movie where it's like, it's unsettling from the first frame. It's pretty, kind of creepy, kind of atmospheric. And then one thing happens, and then the rest of the movie... I would like to issue a warning to anyone who has problems with mental health or anxiety. I would very much recommend that you very, very much consider what you're about to do to yourself when you watch this film. It will likely not be a good experience.
I had fun. I thought it was good. Probably one of the best horror films I've ever seen.
Yeah, it certainly gets my reward for most effective.
More so than the Babadook?
Yeah. The Babadook didn't give me a panic attack. I almost left in the middle of the fucking movie. I almost left just because I was shaking. I don't know if you could feel that, but I was shaking in my seat physically. My breath, oh god, it's like if the last 10 minutes of Annihilation was an entire goddamn movie. Fuck. Okay, I guess we talk about the filmmaking? Toni Collette, give her an Oscar?
Keaton should get an Oscar too.
Keaton. Oh. Fucking Gabriel Byrne. I mean, everybody in this movie is fantastic. The mom and the kid specifically. Like, the kid could have easily been, like, an obnoxious part of this movie. But their performances are such real portrayals of broken people. And, like, it's just oppressive. And it is relentless. And there are things that I have seen that I will never, ever forget.
You want to see it again?
God, no.
I'd watch it again.
I mean, maybe given the right amount of time. I mean, the last time I felt like this leaving a movie was probably Eraserhead. And even then, Eraserhead has nothing on that. Nothing!
I thought you would have said Silence, or...
I mean, it was very similar to Silence, but I think halfway through Silence is when I realized that Hereditary gets you early on. I'm not gonna say any spoilers, just because spoiling anything in this movie is not, like, that's... I can't do that. It is integral to the experience of the film. Just
Like,
The best thing I can tell you about this movie is the fact that I'm warning you is that you might not want to.
well, like, so, you, like, bolted when the credits started to play. I stayed back a little to listen to what the
Yeah,
people sing.
I just needed to get out of the theater as soon as humanly possible.
So, like, fucking, everyone was all like, what the fuck?
Yeah, people were saying what the fuck and laughing, a lot of them. I'm sure some of it was nervous laughter, but some of it was laughter that was like, obviously, like, haha, this made no sense, it wasn't funny, and, like...
One of the most egregious criticisms I have, or that I hate that people douche out to movies is when an ending is confusing and they don't understand it, their first reaction is to call it bad.
I also like to say that that movie, like, okay, I get it. It gets a bit complicated in the third act in terms of the semantics of the plot, which are not important, by the way. The horror does not take a backseat to the finer details of how the mechanics in this universe work. But this movie's not hard to understand. It's pretty fucking blatant. If you're the type of person that goes to see a movie like this and then walks out of it saying, I don't understand, then I'm sorry, but you might be kind of stupid. It's pretty easy to get. The cinematography is fucking amazing. Like, it's actually directed a lot like the Sam Raimi horror film Drag Me to Hell. Lot of pull-in shots of people turning, if you know what I mean. Lots of really long tracking shots. Really clever plays with the focus of the camera. Really well edited. Like, astonishingly well. Whenever this movie tried to do a jump scare, it was built up well, and it was executed flawless. There were no false jump scares in this movie. And there are dream sequences. But like another movie that came out by A24 last year, It Comes at Night, these dream sequences they don't exist as a pure excuse to scare you. They serve as a way of understanding these people. Because trust me, if the movie wanted to scare you, it can easily do so without being a dream sequence. Like, that entire third act. Wow. How did this get a wide release? How? What studio? Like, oh my god. This is probably gonna bomb like hell in the box office.
Oh, considering of the audience reaction around us, it's word of mouth is gonna be like, "Hey, this movie sucks."
It's pretentious, bleh, even though it's the complete opposite of pretentious. You know,
literally any time a film isn't a comic book film, it's pretentious to the general audiences.
Isn't that fucking interesting? They'd be like, oh man, Civil War made the bad guy the protagonist. How fucking revolutionary. But then they're gonna fucking say like, oh, that was groundbreaking cinema, and then laugh off shit like this that has like that was a directorial debut! The guy who made that has only made short films! My fucking hero. I doubt that I'll have to consider whether or not I'm actually gonna watch his next movie. Hopefully I will have fucking healed by then.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna see his next movie.
Oh, hell yeah, and just, like... This guy, he's fucking going places. A24, you all are doing some good shit with horror. Even when you make something more mainstream, when you release something like It Comes at Night, not It Comes at Night, A Quiet Place, and it's definitely geared more towards general audiences, you manage to pull off mainstream horror well. And then you make this shit. This is a movie straight out of the 1970s, but without any of the tongue-in-cheekness that was often in movies like that. The movie I could probably most compare this to is The Shining. That is the only movie where I've ever felt like that before.
I was getting some Poltergeist vibes.
Near the end, certainly. It also, the Lars von Trier movie Antichrist, which I'm not the biggest fan of, that was kind of Antichrist, but...
Oh yeah, that was... especially the ending.
Yeah. The ending... Whew, I'd fucking... Tell me that there's gonna be another movie ending this year that's gonna be that fucking weird, and I will show you a liar. I'll just... If I have to say, like, a closing thought... If you are someone who has A or B, has... mental problems that are in fact hereditary, anxiety, depression, dissociative identity, anything really, this will be a deeply, deeply affecting experience for you more than likely. If your family has suffered a tragedy, this also will do the trick. I do not think I've ever been more terrified watching a film. It's not the type of movie that I'm gonna go to sleep tonight and be, like, afraid about, but it's gonna be the type of movie where I wake up in the morning, the first thing I'm gonna think about is a bunch of shots from this movie.
Like, I remember when the Babadook came out, you texted me and were like, okay, well, I'm not going to sleep tonight.
Yeah, that was the last time, I mean, like, that was the last time I saw, like, a new movie that made me feel like that. And a lot of it had to do with the environment, because it was raining that night, and it was, like, pitch black, I was home alone, and I just watched the Babadook. This, on the other hand, I watched in a theater in the front row. Do not make that mistake. For the love of God.
What's wrong with the front row?
It's very overwhelming at points. Just, I watched this
You and I clearly got two different experiences out of this.
Do not, like, I watched this in a theater full of strangers. It was pretty much a terrible theater experience, but it still managed to do that to me. That's a testament to this film.
Well, imagine if you were watching it in the same circumstances as the Babadook.
Oh my God. Like...
Never watch this movie alone?
Like, okay. When I finished We Need to Talk About Kevin, that was like a unique kind of feeling. There's nothing in that movie that's scary, though. This is that if it was actually scary.
Oh, wait.
I have...
What's We Need to Talk About Kevin?
Did I never mention that to you?
That title isn't familiar to me.
Okay, well, We Need to Talk About Kevin is a movie starring Ezra Miller and Tilda Swinton. It is about a mother raising a boy who is a psychopath/sociopath. And it is... Let's just say Morgan and I watched that at the same time on Netflix just because we knew we both needed to watch it. We both gave that movie a 10 and then never talked about it. Ever. It did not appear on our favorites list. We didn't discuss it any further. It just needed to be out of our minds because it was a bit too much. The director made You Were Never Really Here, which is the movie that I loved from this year. The best way I can describe myself right now is I feel the exact polar opposite than I did when I left Tully. Like, I left Tully, and I felt happy, and warm, and enriched, and just good. I feel nothing.
Thought it was great. The general audience can go fuck themselves.
Yeah, this is probably going to be one of those movies where it's going to have like a 60% on like Rotten Tomatoes' audience score, and then some people are probably not going to go see it because of that. If you're not going to go see this movie, do it for a legitimate reason, if you're concerned for yourself. However, if it sounds vaguely interesting, please support this filmmaker.
Oh yeah, I like how there are some people that when they go look at the Rotten Tomatoes score, they ignore the critic rating because critics are pretentious, and they only look at the audience rating.
I almost always agree with critics as a whole, so I find the audience meter to be completely and utterly worthless. Even if I could hypothetically think of something a problem or something I didn't enjoy, it'd be something I'd probably have to watch the movie a second time for, and that's not happening anytime soon. I think the movie, despite being 2 hours, was paced very well because it never lost me. Yeah, it was 2 hours and 10 minutes, which is pretty fucking long. Did not feel it. I don't think any of the horror was ineffective because a lot of it was really grounded and real. I don't have a complaint. Other than the fact that the projector that we were watching the movie in was slightly out of focus. Just a little bit. But that's the projector's problem, not the movie's.
So, there was some really dark lighting, and, we can answer a question. Why does this dark, grim lighting work here and not in Solo? Because it was purposeful in this film.
Oh, yeah. The way this movie uses lighting, it elicited several gasps at several points, and to the point where I was like, what are they Oh, fuck.
And something I want to bow down and praise this movie for, there were no obnoxious ping!
Yeah, no, big music cues. The music gets kind of loud sometimes, but they're after something scary has already happened. The score is just, really fucking weird. It's got synthesizers, it's got a lot of percussion, some strings at some points. It's a lot like the Johnny Greenwood score for He Were Never Really Here. In fact, there's one track specifically that plays near the end climax of that film that very much sounds like this film.
But there was no scene of Rooney Mara eating a whole pie.
Oh, A24. The vast difference in quality of your films. Not vast, A Ghost Story's fine, but... this was just so effective and brutal and unrelenting. It's got a bit of Jacob's Ladder in it, too. Except, this Jacob's Ladder hasn't aged super well, but
I don't think I've seen
Jacob's Ladder's fantastic. Underrated horror movie from the 90s that inspired Silent Hill. Very good movie.
You just reminded me that Silent Hill is canceled.
Yeah, that's a big disappointment for me, too.
I love PT.
PT's great. There are some scenes in this movie that reminded me of PT.
Oh, God.
This is vaguely a spoiler, and I just thought of it because I want to make a pun to lighten the mood. Gabriel Byrne.
Get out. Get out.
I want to die.
Get out.
Oh, good fucking night.